Hello everyone, my name is Jen and welcome to the Book Refuge and welcome to my video about Bridgerton season 2. So if you are a close follower of mine and you have been seeing, my different promises I've made about this season and my different plans, you may know that things have changed. So first I was going to do a episode recap and review for each episode as I did for season 1. As the time came closer to do it, I was realizing that I was going to be very overwhelmed to film 8 videos and get 8 videos put out. It is also the middle of the season of Outlander, so I already have a day a week that is dedicated to my Outlander recaps, and I was just feeling very overwhelmed. I don't want to spend too much time talking on that. But then the other day I announced that because I didn't want to do that, I was going to do a non-spoiler review and just do some things that I liked and didn't like, and then I would do an in-depth spoiler review. And now today, as I'm sitting here Saturday morning, and I've let myself watch the whole series, I've rewatched some episodes, I've let it wash over me, I've started to see opinions of other people, so I want to get this filmed before I let, too many other people's thoughts invade. But I really don't want to do 2 videos about this. I'm going to do a non-spoiler section at the beginning here, then I will announce the spoilers, and then we're going to get into that. I really just want to do one video, mostly for time's sake, but also because I'm ready to go forward. So let's start with the non-spoilery portion of this. And what I decided to do for this is to say 3 things in general that I liked about it and 3 things that I didn't like so much, and be as vague as I can. And then when we get to the spoiler section, I will go more in depth to that, okay? So if you just want to get my quick thoughts, as someone who's read and loved the book, I actually have my reading vlog for when I read The Viscount Who Loved Me, which I will link up there, which when I did my reread of these books last year before season 1 came out, you can check those out. So let's start with some things that I did like. Maybe we'll go back and forth with this. So things that I loved. I absolutely loved the first 3 episodes particularly well because I thought we saw the introduction of some characters really well. I really loved Kate and Edwina. I really felt like Kate had that protective older sister going. I feel like she was very smart. She was willing to stand up for herself, when Lady Danbury is trying to, insinuate things, she's very nope, I know how to do this. My sister knows this many languages. We've been educated, all of these things. I really liked that. I loved Anthony as well. I really feel like his mindset, particularly at the beginning, really matched the book well for me. And I liked a lot of his conversations that he had with certain family members. So I really enjoyed that. Another thing that I really liked was the very strong sense of duty that was put into Anthony. That's always part of his character in the book, but a lot of that motivation in the book also comes from the fact that he thinks he's going to die young, and so he wants to do his duty of getting the heir for the Bridgertons because he doesn't think that Benedict will ever get married, and he doesn't want to leave that to someone else. So that's why he's looking for his Viscountess. And I feel like even though they shift that in the show to be, solely just it's time to do it. I don't need love. I don't need anything extra. I need someone with good breeding, someone who is smart, someone who could be a Viscountess and really be respectable. And that's what he's looking for. He's looking for someone beautiful and graceful. And I also like about it how when the Queen picks Edwina as the, diamond of the season, he's like, that's all I need to know. The Queen said she's the diamond. Let me go for it. Because that's very much in the book. He asks his mother and is it even his siblings? I can't remember, but he asks who the prettiest and, best candidate for that year is. And he hears that it's Edwina Sheffield in the book, Edwina Sharma in the show. And he is like, hey, she's it. She's the one. And he doesn't think he needs to do much work to make it happen. And that is very similar to the book. He's just like, it's going to happen. And he comes up against the immovable object, which is Kate, who is like, no, you cannot just have my sister that easily. Like, I need you to prove that you're worthy of her. And I feel like all of that dynamic is done very well. So I really liked that. And then, the final thing that I want to do for the like side is I love the banter. I really do think that whenever, not just Kate and Anthony, but obviously that's who I was paying attention to, whenever they have their scenes alone, their banter and their snark to each other is very well done. And that carries throughout the show. I feel like they spark back and forth very well. So those are 3 things that I like. Now we'll do 3 things I didn't like. And again, I'm going to be vague about this before I dive into spoilers. So 1, again, just like last season, I don't really love how some of the siblings, like what the siblings' storylines are being done to them that very much diverge from the book. And I know that, I've heard, whatever. I don't have to deal with what the theories are. I have to deal with what's put in front of me in the show. Whatever the reasons are for, we need to give these people screen time so that, we're paying them to have scenes. We can't just say like, here they exist until it's their turn. That, I can understand that from a business perspective. I don't have to love that as a viewer and someone who loves the book, that Benedict is getting, like, it's getting weirder and weirder with his artist stuff. And sure, it was funny sometimes, but I don't really like my characters being made a fool of. Again, I don't love Benedict. He's probably my least favorite Bridgerton. Spoiler alert, that's how I feel about him. But I just didn't enjoy that. And particularly the storyline that's going on with Eloise, which in a lot of parts feels a duplicate of last season. Her, like, I don't want to call it a feminist agenda, but her, the stuff that she's looking into, her trying to figure out who Whistledown is. The stakes are upped in this season, but I don't see the point of that. It really frustrated me. So I don't really like these side plots that the siblings are having, because for me, it's diverging their characters further and further away from who they were. And it's the same thing I was worried about in season 1 when I saw Anthony being such a prick and being in love with that, like, opera singer and everything, because it took away from what kind of a character he was going to be in this season. And I feel like they turned that around pretty good, especially because they don't show him sleeping around too much. Like, we see parts of it in episode 1 and then we kind of move on from it. So I didn't love that. Number 2, I did not love that Edwina was in love with Anthony and that she had these genuinely deep feelings for him. This is one of my biggest issues, which I will go further into in the spoiler review, but the fact that it gets to the altar with her, I had extreme issues with this, because I feel that it makes Kate and Anthony a bit unsympathetic to me that they let it get this far when it is obvious to other people how they feel. And I know Anthony tries to stop it, and Kate is like, no, my sister, she cares about you, you do this. When Anthony tells Kate, like, if I'm married to her, I'm going to be thinking about you all of our lives. Like, do you want to do that to your sister? And she's like, yeah, I'm going to leave. I'm going to be gone. Do it anyway. Kate's whole thing in the beginning is that the reason she didn't want her to be with Anthony is she wanted her sister to be genuinely loved. And then Anthony is telling her that he's not going to genuinely love her. And Edwina, and Kate is like, no, you can't break her heart. And I'm like, which heartbreak is worse? I'm very confused by the messaging you're giving me, because is it more heartbreaking to have your heart broken now before you're married, or be married to him and discover that he's been pining for someone else for a long time? Like, anyway. And then the third one that I'll mention in the dislike is I very much dislike where the story ended. There is a HEA for Kate and Anthony by the end, but to me that is not the main, like, storyline of this couple. And so for them to not have like, literally to not get married until the last 5 minutes of the show, and then, oh yeah, we're happy, it's 6 months later, we've had our you know, we're having sex and everyone's waiting for us downstairs. Here's the next thing. Like, that was just kind of a slap in the face to me. The amount of angst that I had to live through to then just, it's over. And I was like, wow, that's where we're ending this arc with that. They chose to do a different story arc. They chose to have the arc be the angst of them getting together. It was very Jane Austen for that, for them only to be happy in the last 2 minutes of it, but I don't have to like it. So there we go. That's going to end the non-spoilery part of this. I'm now going to dive into some other things. If you want to keep it with, you know, an even amount of like and dislike, now it's time to go. Thank you for stopping by. I hope you, and I genuinely mean this, I hope you loved this, because I want people to enjoy romance. I want it to inspire you to want to go read the books for yourself. I want it to inspire you to go read more historical romance. Because as much as I love the Bridgerton, there definitely are better done historical series that maybe you will find because you've read these. But there we go. Now we're going to go into a spoiler section that is mostly a rant, because this is the main reason why I didn't do episode by episode recaps, because I don't want to spend hours and hours ranting, which is what would happen, and then I would have to edit those and then get them uploaded, and then they're on my channel forever that I've been ranting. I already feel like my recaps of season 1, I would sometimes be ranting too much in those, but I mean, people enjoyed them. I mean, part of the reason I was going to do recaps for this season is because, you know, you get a lot of views when you put out 8 videos of that. But you guys know I like my channel to be positive, and I don't like to hate on things. But for me in this case, I'm going to do it. And the main reason being that the book is always going to be the book. I will always have the book. I understand when people want to say the argument, well, you always have the book. The adaptation doesn't have to match the book. Like, I understand the argument. It's the same argument I hear about Outlander, and I appreciate it. But I'm a book-first channel, and when stuff that I love gets made into TV, I get to critique it and hate on it for how well they do the adaptation or not. It's just my right. You've put this out there. I get to do it. I want to make it clear that I'm not blaming Julia Quinn for this happening. I'm not hating on Shonda Rhimes for this happening. They made what they thought would be the most marketable show. This is the storyline they chose to go with, and there's no hate for them from me. I don't have hate. I just have extreme disappointment, and a big thing for me, and I was having this conversation with a friend this morning, is that I feel like they take something that has a name brand associated, they hype up the fans, they give us beautiful covers, they give us beautiful swag, they do all of that, and then they give us something that has been stripped of the heart and soul and the characters that I love so much, and they're like, well, we gave you what you wanted. And I want to be like, no, you literally bastardized it, made it look pretty, because it sure as hell, this is a beautiful looking show. The colors, the dresses, the people, it's gorgeous, but it's lipstick on a pig for me, because the thing that I love so much is the characters and the story they were sharing. And I don't read the articles, I don't read their rationalization, I just take the show for what they put in front of me and I watch it. And to me, this was, by the end of the show, I barely saw any of what I love so much. Let's back up to a little bit more of like the positive that I did want to talk, because here's the thing too. I was making these sticky notes while I was watching it, and I had a list of things that I like and things that I dislike. And when I realized that I only had 1 sticky note of like and 3 sticky notes of dislike, I was like, this is where we're at with this, you know? So going back to some things that I did like, though, because I didn't go into the spoiler parts of it in the first half, I really enjoyed up through episode 3. And I was rolling with the changes that they made. I enjoyed a lot of episode 3. If you guys watched my scenes I'd like to see in the season, like 4 of the 5 scenes I wanted to see were like all in episode 3. So I was watching episode 3 and like I was like so happy. I loved seeing Edmund, even though it was sweet agony to watch him die in Anthony's arms, which was a change from the book. He didn't die in front of Anthony. He died, I think, in front of like Eloise or something in the book. But it is very obviously impactful for our main hero to have his father die in his arms, and then to see his mother be devastated by that, and that she barely wanted to live, like when she's birthing Hyacinth and just wishing for Edmund to be there, and the afterwards where she's like barely alive, and Anthony's seeing all this, and he's like, I don't ever want to love someone so much that I have to be in that level of pain. And that is a little bit of his character from the book too. He's a bit more like cold-hearted about it, of just like, I'm gonna die soon, so I don't want to leave a wife behind who's in love with me. I don't want it to be hard for her and my kids, so I'm gonna be very like. And there are heart-to-hearts he has throughout the book of like his mom being, you don't want to be it that way. Like your father wouldn't want you to do it that way. Like you gotta live each day as you can. Like you could die earlier than your dad did, or you could live to be 90, but you have to live each day for what you have and love with everything you have, you know. And anyway, my point being, I was enjoying season 3 or episode 3 quite a bit. Again, I was even okay with how they changed the bee sting scene, because she gets stung and he starts having a panic attack, and she like puts his hand on her chest and is like, I'm okay. And then it gets broken up. There was over 10 scenes in the series of them being very close together and being ripped apart before they actually kiss in episode 6, by the way. And I was okay with that because I assumed there would be a different scene where they get caught together. So I was okay with that change at the time that I was watching it. As the series would progress, I was no longer okay with that, because they had Anthony go so far as to propose to Edwina, as to go to so far as they are at the altar. And it isn't Anthony or Kate who stop the marriage. It's Edwina, when she realizes that her husband-to-be, who should be looking into her eyes, is looking into her sister's eyes. And then we have to have a whole episode of Edwina trying to figure out what's going on and feeling betrayed, and Anthony still saying the marriage should go forward, and the queen still saying the marriage should go forward. And we were like, this marriage should go forward all the way up until the last second. And then even once it hasn't happened, Kate and Anthony are still like, we can never see each other again because of this. And someone also I was listening to, like I said, I was trying not to take other people's opinions in too much, but I was trying to process this. Like, I did not want to film this video last night when I was so angry. This is me toned down a lot because I've just disassociated a little bit, and I'm like, this isn't my fight that I need to fight. I'm just going to say my feelings and then I'm going to move on, because again, my book is always going to be the book the way that I want it to be. That has not been taken away from me, okay? It hasn't been taken away from me. But that doesn't release the level of anger that I have, okay? Someone had said that, like, they didn't want to make this a forced marriage again. They didn't want to do the same thing. Well, two things. Number one, half of all historical romances are compromised marriages, arranged marriage, or marriage of convenience. Half, okay? Half. Any series that I point to, I could pick 4 out of however many are that, okay? That is what you're getting into when you're adapting historical romance. A lot of them are going to be marriage of convenience or compromised positions. That is the storyline you're telling. So, don't know what to say here. Like, it's okay. The difference is that there was still enough conflict between Kate and Anthony. But because Edwina didn't have feelings for Anthony in the book, their relationship doesn't get any further than, like, a couple dates there on with other people there. Edwina's doing this for duty, and also for her sister Kate, because her sister Kate really wants her to get married and have a happily ever after in the book. And Edwina's like, okay, I'm going to do my best. But Kate and Anthony get compromised, you know, more around like the midway point of the book. And Anthony is just as happy to marry Kate at this point, and he's sexually attracted to her, and he's like, being married to her won't be bad. Like, I'm still not going to fall in love, and that's going to be okay. But, like, it'll be fine, because he really didn't have, like, his reason for marrying Edwina was because she was young and malleable, and he thought, like, it would work out well to just be with her, whereas Kate, she's very forceful and, like, argumentative, and he's like, oh, this could be a big deal. But it's not a big deal for them to get married, and as soon as they get married, he's like, hey, this isn't so bad. I like having a partner to talk to. Where the conflict is that he realizes he's falling in love, and it's panicking the shit out of him, you know? And there's other conflicts to work through. But to have it be 8 episodes of angst, you know, again, one of my friends said it best. It was just agonizing, which I know. Agony, angst, it's a thing. But there was other kind of angst that there could have been. You know, there was other ways to do that didn't make Kate and Anthony so unlikable. And that was my main issue, is that because neither one of them says anything, he is literally willing to go through to this marriage with Edwina. And as I said in the non-spoiler section, Kate wants her sister to be in love and to have that. And I know that her sister says that she has feelings for him and that it will be well. And that's maybe why she's saying that. Because Anthony's saying, I'm not going to love your sister. Like, I'm going to be thinking of you. She should know that, well, my sister's not going to be in a happy marriage. But she's like, no, you have to marry her. She doubles down on it. And I don't like it. So a couple other things, because I haven't even gone through all of my list. I already said I didn't really like Benedict stuff. Don't care. There was not enough Kate and her stepmother for me. There was a little more of it in episode 8, you know, when Kate is feeling so like, I can't have him, like I don't deserve it. And Mary has to be like, no, like you deserve happiness. You deserve these things. That was really sweet. I wish there had been more of those moments throughout the episode. Because when I made that note in my dislike, it's because I was on like episode 6 and I hadn't seen enough moments between them. There was also the weird dowry stipulations, which again, like I'm kind of okay with that. But also, I think it would have been fine if just they only had enough money to do this one season. And maybe Lady Danbury is only sponsoring them for this one season and she's helping. Like, that would have been a great way to make that happen. Where, like, we only have this one chance to get it. So we want her to get the best marriage she can so that she can be happy. And then, like, Mary and Kate will just go live in a small cottage together and they'll be okay. Like, just the two of them as, like, spinsters together. So the weird stipulations with the grandparents, which then just caused more distrust between Kate and Edwina. And I hate when there's such beautiful sibling relationships in a series, which we don't often get to see, and then they just get attacked on all sides for all of this. And it just, with each new thing, it just made Kate a less of a trustworthy sister as we went through it. It just made it worse and worse and worse as I went through. I already said this, there was no kissing until episode 6. There wasn't even a kiss between them. The wedding, I hated we got to the wedding. Violet still doesn't have a really great heart-to-heart with him until a certain point in it. Like, she does eventually. Like, we have them talking on the bench about Edmund and, like, what he would want for him. And, you know, Anthony still being very rude to her that, like, the duty that I have, that my father left me, is different than what he left you. Just continues to be very cutting and, like, rude to his mother. And, I mean, that bothered me in season 1, and it bothered me even more in this one, where he continually is so cutting and rude to his mother. Like, Anthony and Violet definitely have some disagreements about things and definitely have to talk through things in that book, but he's very respectful to his mother and is, like, the Viscount that he is. Like, ugh. It's Daphne who has a lot of the conversations with him, and I know they wanted to give Daphne, like, more to do. And I think she fulfills the role of both, like, Daphne and Simon in this, because I didn't mind that Renee Jean Page wasn't there. I would have loved to have him if he could have been, but really his only role in the book, The Viscount Who Loved Me, is telling Anthony, like, I thought I wanted to be a rake forever, but having a woman who loves you and shares your bed and is the mother of your child is the best thing ever. And I feel like Daphne shares that a little bit. But she's still, like, they have these very, like, condescending conversations to each other where he's like, the difference is you were born to enter someone else's home. I was born and I have to uphold this name where you are a different name now. And I'm just like, the fuck did you say to your sister? Like, he just, every time I will get excited about like an Anthony scene, he will then have a scene where he just ruins all of it for me. And I was like, I hate him. Like, there was nothing lovable about him for me. Like, there wasn't. Like, I know he's supposed to be duty and this, but like, he even says, he's like, I'm pretty sure my siblings hate me because the things I have to do for them, everything is for them. They don't feel that way about him. And I know in the show it's supposed to be he thinks that, but they feel something different. But I don't really know because he's kind of a jackass to them in a lot of parts of the show. Whereas in the book, he definitely is the stern, like, man in charge. But his siblings just, they love their older brother so much. And he does so many things for them. And man, it's just painful. It's just painful to see him be such a dunce for me. And the only times I was loving him is I loved a lot of the lines he would say to Kate, like some really swoony ones where he's like, all I do is think of you. And obviously their love scene in season 7, it was very sexy. It was beautiful. It was well filmed. It wasn't any of the like jackhammering, as my friend Justin said. It wasn't any of the jackhammering, like very uncomfortable thing in The Duke and I. It was very sensual and beautiful. And I'm not even complaining about that there's not as much sexy times in this, because as soon as it was clear that like they weren't going to be together until the last episode, they can't have sex when he's still courting Edwina or with her, or that makes him completely irredeemable. But because they had them like courting each other and then engaged and then married, there's not even an opportunity for them to be growing their physical connection. All they do is have, again, all these like, I'm almost kissing you and I'm not. And like, I'm okay with some of those. I love sexual tension. But for me, the band was wound too tight and it had snapped by the time they were even having sex in that episode. Again, Edwina is just too much in this for me. Like, and I completely see her side through this whole thing. I wish they had given her someone who was flirting with her, like, to the side, like they do in the book. Like, there is someone who she's flirting with. So when her sister starts like seeing like Anthony and then they're together, she's like, oh, I actually like this guy who's kind of like bookish and quiet more than the Viscount anyway. So that was frustrating. And then just a couple more things, because I'm ready to be done. Yeah. So I didn't like what was happening with Penelope and Eloise. I don't need to go into details. I don't know what the fuck is going on with this. I know that they needed to give them something to keep it going. And just having Penelope almost get caught a few times is too much. But there's so many other people involved in this secret now. And the rift that's between them. Okay. Colin, whatever. I actually didn't mind that he went to like apologize for the things that he said to what's her face? Marina. I liked seeing Philip. Philip was actually adorable and so like awkward and sweet, and I liked that. But to have her be like, I don't need your apology, blah, 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 I'm just like, you could have just said you accepted, like, whatever. Continuing to make Marina a bitch when I don't want her to be one. Like Marina has enough like mental health and like things going on, which I don't know if they will do that, who knows, but I didn't need her to also be like a bitch to him. Like, I feel like she should have just been, you know, neither of us behaved the way that we should have, and this is where we're at. Like, I'm a mother of 2 kids and I have a husband, and you shouldn't come by anymore. Like, that's how that should have been. She's still telling him not to come again. There's nothing between them. This is the life I'm in. But to have her be like, how dare you think that we need apologies and I forgive you? Because like, bitch, you should have asked him for forgiveness. You almost trapped him into something that he didn't need to be a part of, you know, like you did. But you also could have been like, I'm sorry for what happened, but like, don't come see me anymore. Like, why'd they have her do that? Whatever. It was a perfect opportunity for a little redemption for her, because she was one of my least favorite parts of season 1. Also, again, I said I didn't like the brother stuff. The Featheringtons, whatever, don't care. The Queen, they're going to be giving her her own show anyway, so the amount of her just coming in and messing with things, didn't love. The scene where the king comes out, though, that's always a moment of sympathy, and it's just like, It's very heartbreaking. That's a thing that happens to people, and it's so sad. I don't see what its place is in this story. Have that be the story that's on the queen. So, okay, I think I've worked through pretty much everything, all of my like foibles with this. And I just reiterate that I'm not going to say that I won't see a next season, because I know that by the time it comes around and the hype I see and all my friends talking about it and all the hype that will come around, like I will probably see it. But I for sure won't go in with as much enthusiasm. Like I told you guys, I tried to be level-headed and to be like, don't be too excited. And then the first 3 episodes got my hopes up. And then it all just like crashed for me. Like, what was the cohesive journey of this one? What was like, just what was happening? And I know they need to amp up the drama. Like, I get it. But the way that they did it for me just trashes the characters. Like, again, as another friend of mine said, there already is stakes and drama in the book. And if they want to add the storylines about the Featheringtons and about knowing who Penelope, like that she's whistled down, like, okay. But I really wanted Kate and Anthony to be truer to the book for me. And there were moments when I saw it, like when they bantered and when they are like with their families and sister. And Newton, let's give an MVP for Newton. He was adorable. Loved it. But there was so few scenes as a whole that reminded me of the book that it just ended up being like sad for me. And again, episode 3 had pretty much all the scenes I wanted, and I love it. But this isn't a season that I ever want to watch again. I don't look forward to rewatching this the way that I do a Pride and Prejudice or something. This isn't something I want to binge ever again. Like, by the end of it, I was furious and sad, and it wasn't great. So anyway, here's my Bridgerton recap and rant, or it wasn't even a recap, whatever. If you loved it and you made it all the way through this video, I'm sorry. I keep it real and I keep it honest, and this was not an enjoyable experience for me, and that breaks my heart, because they always will be, always forever. This will be one of my favorite book series I've ever read, and it is untouched. It is perfection the way it is. But it bothers me that this happens with romance and we're just supposed to accept it. I mean, I've talked about it. There are plenty of entities. There are video games and comic books and other properties that get changed when they get made into movies. Like, it happens, and people are angry when they happen. But when it happens with a romance, because romance is just a romance, I feel that when TV and movies make them into that they're like, oh, we got to add stuff in because the romance is just too simple. And I'm like, no. The reasons why billions of people read romance is because we know how it's going to go. And I would have been just as excited and just as entertained if you told me the story that I love. I would have been just as happy. And I know that that's just one girl's opinion, but I've been a Julia Quinn stan since I was 15 years old, and I always will be. And this season was so below my expectations. I tried to have low expectations. I tried to keep them low. And this was still just so far below it for me. So I'm glad if you're able to enjoy it and it was an enjoyable experience for you. It wasn't for me. That's why I'm only making one video and I'm putting it out there. And that's what we got. So thank you so much if you made it through. Don't give me a B emoji because I can't handle it. Give me a heart. Give me a blue heart because I need the love after what I went through. And keep the comments nice. I know that I was spicy in my video. I know that I was a bit snappy, but please keep the comments respectful because I do respect you if you liked this. I respect you. I am not dissing an individual for saying you're wrong if you like it. You're not. You can enjoy the entertainment you want to enjoy. Absolutely. But my opinion is that for me, this did not meet expectation. I did not enjoy it and I won't be watching it again and I don't want to talk about it or whatever. But in the comments, we can talk about changeably like. If you were okay with this adaptation, whatever, we can talk about that and we will all be respectful or I'll block you because we're gonna have a great conversation, but it's gonna be good. So thank you so much for watching. Back to my regular book content going forward and we'll see you next time.